You know, this is just interesting. We were studying with Rabbi Soloveitchik, we were studying the Tractate of Shabbos, okay? And it just so happens before I get to Stanford, we were covering that week the fact that in many synagogues a chazan gets up and he makes kiddush and there's no meal afterwards. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's a throwback because at one time in every synagogue poor people would gather or wayfarers would gather and they would make kiddush in shul because they ate right away. But since you don't do it anymore, it is inappropriate. So I'm here, I arrive on Friday night, the chazan gets up and he makes kiddush, and I have a dilemma. I know he's not allowed to, but you know, it's my first week here and I'm only a fill-in.
Because it's just the wine, right? You need to have some challah.
Well, no, you shouldn't. If you're going to make kiddush b'makom suda, you have to have kiddush but if there's no suda, you shouldn't make kiddush.
Uh-huh.
So I kept my cool. I didn't say a word. I won't be here next week, right? Well, the next week I get there and I remind myself I didn't do anything about this next week. Should I say anything to the cantor? I said, no, I'll wait one more week and let me go talk to Rabbi Soloveitchik. So I told Rabbi Soloveitchik, I said, hey, here's the dilemma I ran into. Right. He said, don't ever change the minhag, the custom of that synagogue. If for years and years that's what the cantor did, I said, but Rebbe, last week we learned it was the wrong thing to do. It isn't right. It is wrong to do. You're right, it's wrong to do. But if that's the custom of the synagogue, don't break the custom. People grow up with a custom, and custom is even more incumbent upon you. Why should you come in and
tear it up?
Don't do that. Don't even be, you're right, but don't be right and break a custom.
Yes.
So that also gave me a lot of understanding about a synagogue, and I resent when people make changes unnecessarily. So those were my beginnings, and I got my comeuppance and an understanding that a young man does not come in and dictate to a congregation. What I realized is that there is very little headway I was going to make with the older people. I did make some headway, but very little. What I did is go after a youth group. I created youth groups.
Is that how you brought in the
That's how I brought in the younger people. And this youth group, their parents were young people, and they began to switch and come into the synagogue. They began to attend.
Filling the pews.
We were.
What was your highest membership in your heyday?
When I retired, we had 841 families.
Wow.
841 families. We were the largest Orthodox synagogue in all of New England, and Stanford was the only city, the only community in the entire United States where the Orthodox synagogue is larger than either the conservative or reform. And from 1969 to 1973, we were larger than the conservative and reform congregations put together.
Wow.
But
your father must have been very proud of you.
Yeah, my father was very proud.
Even though you didn't listen to him?
Yeah. No, I listened to him. Well, he changed his mind.
Oh, okay.
No, he had to change his mind.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as a young fellow. Not like my kids won't call me and say, Dad, should I? No, they make their own mind up. They're all smart.
What do you see as the biggest challenge for the Jewish community today? What's your message, your Pirkei Avot, if you will, to the the rabbis, the young rabbis that are ascending their pulpits for the first time?
I believe that there's an excess amount of time spent on sermons. The sermon is only an introduction. It's not a message which will resonate with the people. Just think of it. Even today, our synagogue has 620 families. But you don't have 620 families in shul on a Shabbos. So you're speaking to a select few. You're preaching to the choir. Because those people who come every Shabbos They already have a certain tradition of coming. You want to reach the majority of people. So you want to get, it's programming.
More important, programs are more important than the
Than sermon.
sermons.
The sermon has a limited effect.
Yes.
It's an introduction to the rabbi. It's for them to understand how your mind works, what you're thinking. But don't spend too much time in the sermon on trying to change the world. That's
Yes.
not where it's going to be.
That's beautiful.
But education is going to be very important. That's where we are.
Education.
We know the Hebrew school system. I wouldn't call it bankrupt, but it's approaching bankruptcy.
It's being enriched.
And I think you need day school education.
Day
you know,
school.
you already have Reform day schools. You have many conservative day schools, the Solomon Schechter schools, which are good, and then you have a lot of Orthodox day schools.
We are coming to the end of this segment. We're going to talk about in our next segment. We've been speaking with Rabbi Joseph Ehrenkranz, who has represented the Jewish community not only in Stanford but internationally in his meetings with the Pope. And in our next segment, come back and we're going to get into that whole aspect of his career and the work that he's doing in the Center for Christian Jewish Understanding of the Sacred Heart University. And you've heard it, the words of wisdom from Rabbi Joseph Ehrenkranz. Thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Forget the day, forget tomorrow. Let your heart lead the way, and your mind will follow. Let the angels in, let the journey begin. This is my sacred space. This is my sacred place. I hear the heavens singing, holy, holy, holy. There's a light that shines within, and it warms my soul. It sanctifies, it takes me high.